Hello, and this is Big Bang Mono. One of the from the video links is like Britain's youngest parents, where there's like someone who gave birth at the age of 12. Which, well, I have someone in my mind who gave birth at 11, so it's cool that that's nearly possible. Although I'd love to see if a real person gave birth at 11. That would be cool. Anyway, back on topic, MikeyAngryBird has just made his reaction video on my review on Crash Bandicoot The Wrath of Cortex. Now, he says Crash Bandicoot 4. Now, technically, the game is not Crash Bandicoot 4, but it is in Japan, so I'll let it slide. Anyway, it's his new reaction video, and yeah, I've wanted him to do this for a while, so let's go watch this baby. And he didn't even mention my name in the title. MikeyAngryBird, fix the title. He doesn't even mention. There are tons of reviews on Wrath of Cortex online. People won't know what review you're talking about. They might think you're talking about one of Stimpy Land's reviews on it. They might think you're talking about Geek Gamer 7's review, or it's just some random person's review on it. There's just so many reviews on Wrath of Cortex online. They won't know that you're talking about my one until they watch the video. This is a genuine complaint, and I say, fix it right now. I'm almost as mad as I was when you said that there should be a new Crash game multi-platform, and when you said that I should play Rayman on the Charlie Jaguar, and in reality, you need to play it more because you say it sucks. Considering that, I'm pretty sure you haven't played it. Anyway, that's enough ranting. So let's just watch this thing.
Hello.
Ooh, I'm sorry, I need to change the volume. There we go.
My name's the Snail.
The Snail! Even though in the title it says Red Snail. Oh, whatever.
There's a red bird. My name is Steel Kitty.
Wait, Redbird is in the video even though he doesn't mention him in the title. Oh my god, MikeyAngryBird! YouTube can do pretty long titles, so why can't you just say Red Snail? Red Snail, Redbird, and Unikitty react to Big Bang Bot's Crash Bandicoot 4 review. YouTube will allow you to do that. They will. I'll even prove it to you with just some random video I made a very long time ago. Just some very random video. I'm going to prove to you that you can literally write that in. No, I do not want the analytics. Ugh. I didn't mean to get off the video. Stupid. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm such an idiot today. Anyway, the original review was uploaded back in November 24th, 2012, and the review sucked. While it's not the worst review ever, and I can call it a review, well, not a very good one, but still, I can call it a review, and it's certainly not better than my old reviews, but overall, the review still sucks. You're much better off watching my reviews from Wii Sports and onwards, or Ticker's Honey Hunt and onwards, because those reviews are actually decent, if not good. Let's just go with this talking Roby thing. I'm just going to prove to him that you can actually fit the entire title that I just said that you can put in. Red Snail. Red. Whoops. See, YouTube will let you put that title in. It will let you put that title in, so I suggest put that title in right now. And now the original title is gone. I'm just gonna call it Talking Roby, because I just will. Anyway, back to the actual video. Now we can start watching. It's been 5 minutes. 5 beeping minutes. Let's just get this party started.
My name is Red Bird. My name is Steel Kitty.
because I'm not voiced by the original person who voiced me in the Lego Movie, which I don't know who it is, but I can check if you want. Yeah, I'm gonna check for you. I don't know who voices Unikitty, but I don't know. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, let's just find Unikitty. Okay, so Unikitty's voice has changed because it went from Alison Brie to MikeyAngryBird. Are you happy now, Redbird, that I just explained how Unikitty's voice changed? Yes? Well, good. Let's carry on.
It's too high. So today,
by the way, one of my sisters is called Alison. Just to let you know.
We're gonna do a reaction video. So it's like a long time since it's actually like long development. Now it's finally here.
Well, compared to his last reaction video, day gap. But compared to when he made his previous reaction video on a Crash game, that was back in like February. Seriously, time has gone really beeping fast. But anyway, let's keep watching. Because that's been like 2 months since he made his last Crash Bandicoot reaction video. Man, time's going fast.
It's actually called Crash Bandicoot, the rapper Cortex, also known as.
And it's called Crash Bandicoot 4 Sakuretsu Majin Power in Japan, which means Crash Bandicoot 4 Explosion Genie Power. At least I know what those words are in Japanese now.
And as Crash Bandicoot 4 Explosion Genie Power. Yeah, so let's watch it.
Wow! 3 great 3D platformers starring Crash Bandicoot by Naughty Dog, and a great Mario Kart clone.
Okay, it wouldn't necessarily called Crash Bandicoot 1 great, even though it is good enough for me to buy the Japanese version, but hey, I want every Japanese Crash game whether I like it or not, so shut up. Well, I like most Crash games anyway, so whatever.
Now, I wonder what Naughty Dog's game on the PS2 will be. There was Crash Bash, but that wasn't made by them. They spent...
Even though the demo of Crash Bash said that it was made by Naughty Dog. Fail!
Nearly 3 years developing a PS2 game. Now, the game that would come to my mind is Crash Bandicoot, the rapper Cortex.
And as we all know by now, it's called Crash Bandicoot 4 Sakuretsu Majin Power in Japan.
Naughty Dog didn't make this game. Yeah. So this game is actually released back in like...
He doesn't need to tell us. I can tell you by myself. With the power of Wiki-Piki! Or Wikipedia, even though it's not the most reliable site on the face of the planet, but whatever. It's better than any search engine other than Google. So anyway, the PS2 version, it came out on November 13th, 2001 in America, November 23rd, 2001 in Europe, December 20th, 2001, and December 20th, 2001 in Japan. The Xbox version, and yes, I will buy the Xbox version. I mean, I already own both the PS2 and the GameCube version, and the Platinum version, and I'm getting the Japanese version, which I can use with Swap Magic. As for the Xbox version, it came out on April 15th, 2002 in America, April 26th, 2002 in Europe, and October 24th, 2002 in Japan. And it was the only Crash game to come out in Japan on the Xbox. And the GameCube version, it came out on September 17th, 2002 in North America, November 1st, 2002 in Europe, and not until December 4th, 2003 in Japan. That's a 2-year gap since the PS2 and the GameCube version of Crash Bandicoot 4 Sakuretsu Majin Power. And then it was released on Xbox Originals in America on December 4th, 2007. Yeah. Might as well just mention that bit. Now I can just skip the part where he talks about the release dates.
On North America on December 4th, 2007. After the release of Clash of Titans, as you expected in October. So here's a development. Crash Bandicoot the Rapid Cortex retro engine intended to be designed by Mark Cerny.
It's Mark Cerny, silly boy.
Cerny, who designed all the games in the series through Spar. And published by Sony Computer.
I don't want him to, like, read what's on Wikipedia, so let's skip ahead.
Lover's Tale. Wells Force, who's composed Aku and Michael on the 30th. Unseen 64 actually got that.
You have to pop it into the of it. Well,
proceed. Let's talk about it.
If you want to know this game's full history, then just go on to Wikipedia.
For some reason, Naughty Dog's name isn't on the disc.
And it's not on the case either. I mean, there's Konami, and there's Universal. Universal's usually there. And Travel Sales is on the back, but where the beep is Naughty Dog? I'll tell you where they are. At this point in time, they're in Jak and Daxter. Yeah. Might as well just mention that. Nowadays, they're in The Last of Us and Uncharted. So, yeah.
Still, we have Konami. They must have
Well, I like calling them Konami, even though it's definitely Konami, but I like calling them Konami, so shut up.
published the game by the looks of it. Well, I have to pop it into my PS2 to see what Naughty Dog has done. I hope you enjoy this review.
Okay.
I'd also like to tell you that I own both the original Black Label version, the Platinum version, and the GameCube version, and eventually the Japanese version. And once I get my hands on an Xbox, as in an original one, not the 360 or the One, the Xbox version, as in the Xbox Zero. I'm calling it the Xbox Zero, so that people don't get confused with the 360 and the One. Seriously, why did they call the Xbox One the Xbox One? That was so dumb that I thought it was a joke when it was first announced. I said this before, but hey, whatever. Well, unless I said it in, like, my lost reaction video on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and SpongeBob SquarePants Super Sponge. But I thought that the Xbox One was a joke when I first saw it. As in, I just didn't believe the name, I didn't believe it was a real system, then found out it was a real system. So let's just carry on.
Alright, PlayStation 2, how you been?
You don't need to say hello to the PS2, but hey, whatever.
Okay. Alright. Okay, skip the PS2 load intro. Man, this is actually considered to be that Stimpy Land hates this game because it's actually...
You don't need to talk about that. I was going to mention that later, but hey, Stimpy Land thinks that Rapid Cortex is like the worst game ever. Well, I'm guessing that he thinks it's the worst game ever.
It's worst. Wait, yeah, this game's made by Traveler's Tales, but they also made, like, TT...
Yeah, I know what else they made. But before they went to Lego Land and stayed there and made a ton of Lego games, they just made some licensed games. Some good, some okay, some bad. A good one, it would definitely be Rapid Cortex, well, at least in my opinion. A bad one would be Muppet Race Mania. That game just sucks. People say Sonic R is bad, which is also made by Travel Tales, but Muppet Race Mania is worse. Surely it has a lot more content, but the gameplay is a lot worse. It controls dreadfully, and the track design does not match up with it. You don't want to play Muppet Race Mania, it just sucks. Also, the American version was just like Rayman M's to Rayman Arena, was upgraded. But hey, it still sucks, from my knowledge, so yeah.
Games. Well, this is not Traveler's Tales. TT Games actually made some, like, pretty mediocre Lego games, except for, like, good ones, like the Lego Movie, Star Wars.
I don't really play Lego games anymore. Lego Star Wars was like the best one. Lego Movie game, I got stuck, but hey, it's good enough as well. The other Lego games I didn't like. I hated Lego Indiana Jones. I even destroyed the case with a brick. Yeah, that's how much I hated it.
Indiana Jones, Batman, whatever that, something, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to mention other ones like Lego City Undercover, Lego Lord of the Rings, Lego Harry Potter, or Lego Harry Potty, because that was a joke I made in, like, my Sonic Heroes Let's Play by accident. And don't forget the latest one, Lego The Hobbit. That just seems wrong. Why is it called The Lego Hobbit? That makes a lot more sense. It's just like Castlevania The Adventure makes more sense. It makes less sense than the Castlevania Adventure, which would make a much better title. And they also made a Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't remember every single one on the top of my head, but those are all of them. Not counting the sequels some of them got.
Where was Naughty Dog's logo?
It was in Jak and Daxter, stupid little 12-year-old me who was pretending that it was my first time playing, or everyone's reaction when they first played the game. If they were smart enough.
I mean,
You got wrong.
Yeah, we all got Rick rolled, but we got that already in Crash Bash. But this is more important. This is a new Crash game, a new platforming Crash game on a next-gen system, and we got Rick rolled. No, but the game was still good. But since it has mixed opinions, play the game and see what you think of yourself. That's all I can say.
That made by Naughty Dog. They finally made
Naughty Dog. Yeah, no, Naughty Dog. That's weird.
Jak and Daxter. Well, spoilers.
oh, weird.
And then we have the stupid 12-year-old me. Back when I was younger, I looked so beeping weird now that I think about it in these YouTube videos. I just looked so weird. Still look like me, but I just look weird. Just particularly in my Crash Bandicoot 1 video and that Monkey Fight and that Grinch is Scary video that was on James and Mickey 447's channel. I looked weird in those.
That's me.
Well,
In fact, I even look younger than him in those videos, even though I'm like 3 1/3 years older than him. Yes, I calculated it out by myself.
Really creepy and weird in this scene.
Naughty Dog did
You're
make a
creepy.
PS2.
You're a bunch of faces. Hates you.
What?
Yeah, I did kind of tell. I was just questioning when you said my face was good. Why you thought my face was good? I wasn't telling you don't like my face. I was saying why. I'm just surprised. I didn't say you must never like my face. I was just surprised that you like my face back when you did like it, but now you hate it because I hate it. My face back then was even weirder.
What did they make?
Jak and Daxter.
Alright, just don't do drum roll. Just spoilers. Jak and Daxter. That game. You can clearly see, here's some, a bunch of screenshots from the beta version. You can clearly see, there was, unused enemies, different...
Yeah, there was loads of beta pictures from Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex. There were tons of beta elements that never made it into the final version of Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of Cortex. Or is he talking about Jak and Daxter? I just don't beeping know by now, because he's not being clear enough.
Some, different level designs, unused polar bear enemies, this one. See, and also these levels.
We can't see them, just to let you know. If you want to see these, you're talking about beta screenshots, at the very least, show us the beta screenshots. If you're showing us, screenshots, show us. Don't just tell us about them. Because we can't see them. And we just gotta guess what they look like compared to the final game if we haven't played the final game or seen these beta screenshots. You need to make this friendly for the people who have not played the game. And you also need to show us, and plus, even the people that have played the game and seen the beta screenshots, we don't know which ones you're talking about, so just show them to us!
This weird Crash Faces looks weird. Coco and the unused level in the pirate, China, and also might be multiplayer or something.
Now I guess he's talking about the Wrath Cortex. Okay.
Then unused portal design and clearly see a bunch of footage, but we don't want to saw the footage. And also the unused space.
Just to let you know that old gameplay trailer has, I'm pretty sure it practically has no copyright connected to it. So you can show us that beta trailer if you want. There's no copyright attached to it. The only thing that's copyright attached to it are movies made by big companies. They're the only ones who like copyright.
The ship level, and also on different look of the lab, the minecart level. And also, what the heck is that? Is that a
Show us.
Crash Bandicoot that has a skeleton? And also unused grill of enemies, I guess.
We could not see that stuff. Plus Crash did turn into a skeleton in the final game. So do not be that surprised. It was in the final game. It might have been a beta screenshot, but I don't care. It was in the final game. Plus, he's not showing us these beta screenshots. Just show us them to us. Oh, that's something I won't get over.
Beta grills. And also that Titanic ship that she possibly used. It's pretty weird. Pretty weird. Did they actually keep the Titanic design, but maybe they removed it, I guess?
If it wasn't Crash Bandicoot, the Waff of Cortex.
I love it that I called it Crash Bandicoot, the Waff of Cortex. That was just great.
I wonder what this game is.
Well, it's got this thingy, and this dude's gonna come in, and I, had the case, so I could have looked at the case to see what game it was, and the name is even on the disc, so I could have looked on the disc, unless I blindly bought the game and then blindly put the disc in. which would have been everyone's first reactions, even though they looked at the case and despite the fact that they looked at the case and saw what they purchased. That was just weird, but good times.
Who's that?
Just to let you know, his name is Daxter. Well, you wouldn't know it until you actually played the game, where you would just guess which one's Jack and which one's Daxter. It's one of them. That's all you got to know if you actually, looked at the game's name. While you can buy game judging its cover, you're gonna read the title as well. So,
I want to know who this guy is. That kind of looks like...
Does he literally find it funny? Well, you can be weird sometimes.
The Crash Bandicoot dog. Who's that kid? I want to know.
Well, he's either Jack or Daxter, according to what I read on the game. But, I know which one is which, but... This is for someone who has not played the game before, or who doesn't know anything about the game. They just looked at the case, they bought it, and then they put the disc in, and then they just started playing. And that's also, but they could have read the back of the box, which could have told you what happens, or tell you who's who, or you could have read the manual. But this is a person who just looked at the front of the box, bought it, put it in their PS2, and then started playing. But the only difference is that they're blind, and the only difference is that they can't read. So, yeah, that's like a reaction to someone who bought the game who can't read.
Well, at least Naughty Dog made this game, but what is this game called?
Hint, random person who just bought the game, get the box and look at the title. The end. This is a reaction to all the people who bought this game back in 2001 who couldn't read, I guess. But then that gets contradicted by the next thing that's going to happen.
Jack and Daxter?
I'm surprised because I finally learned how to read! Yay!
The precursor legacy. Why did Naughty Dog cancel with the Crash Bandicoot series? Well,
they had a contract. The contract was over, and while Naughty Dog asked, while Universal did ask them for help with Crash Bash, Naughty Dog said, "Nope, we're working on our new IP now. Shut up, Universal. We're done with you." The end.
According to the internet, Naughty Dog lost the rights to Universal Studios, then Crash Bandicoot was owned by Universal. So Naughty Dog had to make a new series, and this is what we have. Jak and Daxter.
And then in 2007 they made Uncharted, then 2013 they made The Last of Us. Which, considering how many games they might make for that series, that might turn into The First of Us. Get it? Oh, never mind, my jokes are awful.
Well, it's an awful...
Oh my god, his phone is on and he's not even cutting this bit out. Silly you!
Okay, let me quiet. It's interrupted. Okay. Hello, I tried to do, like, my video for that reaction video to Big Mouth from my friend's YouTube friend. Yeah. I just saw the blog in the...
I don't know why, but that actually seems kind of rude, saying, "Oh, hello! I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make a video on one of my YouTube friends' videos, so... why did you have to do this?" Here's a hint. Use YouTube Video Editor and cut it out. Cut that scene out. I use it all the time to cut out your swearing and to connect the parts I have to record off my camera, yet you practically almost never use it unless you're like making a Best of Big Bang Bot video. Or like some of your main videos, but I don't know.
In the wall. I did kill it.
Don't know how long this is going to last, so let's skip this.
And it's just like this also happened with Insomnia Games when they moved on with the Dragon through Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, you only have the first one, not some sequel stuff. Let's see.
I don't know many games in the series. I own the first Ratchet and Clank and Tools of Destruction. And Size Matters. That's probably it. Now, here's an interesting fact for every single one of you. And I mean every single one of you. And I will be back, so... yeah. Now, here is a funny story which is also connected to the two companies. Now, as we guys should know, Crash Bandicoot was very successful in Japan. Crash Bandicoot 1, according to my knowledge, was the first non-Japanese game to sell over 500,000 units in Japan. And also, Crash 2 and 3 sold over 1 million copies in Japan, and considering that they weren't made in Japan, that's really interesting, because, you know, Japan isn't really interested with outside video games. Now, we're interested in Japanese games, but they're not interested in non-Japanese games. So that's interesting, but when Jak and Daxter came out, it wasn't very successful. It wasn't successful at all. While they did translate... They released Jak 1 and 2, and they did translate Jak 3, but it was never released. I even heard that they translated Jak X, but that was never released in Japan either. Then they also released Jak and Daxter Lost Frontier in Japan, but that was only the PSP version. So they only released 3 out of the 6 Jak and Daxter games in Japan. As we all know, however... well, it's the other way around with Insomniac. As we should know, Spyro, or as we might know, Spyro was not very successful in Japan. His games just weren't interesting enough for Japanese people. They just didn't want to buy them. Except for people who were interested. Only 5 of the Spyro games came out. And that's Spyro 1 and 2, Spyro Season of Ice, Spyro Fusion or Spyro Orange the Cortex Conspiracy, and the first Skylanders. However, with Ratchet and Clank, it was very successful in Japan. Practically every Ratchet and Clank game is out in Japan. Every single one. From the first game, all the way up to Into the Nexus. So, yeah. In Japan, Crash Bandicoot, successful. Spyro, non-successful. And this is from 2 companies that are linked. Ugh, that was an accident, guys. I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. Jack and Daxter, failure. Ratchet and Clank, success. So yeah, that's our story on like the history of the Naughty Dog and his zombie games in Japan. Uncharted was successful in Japan, from what I'm aware of, and I'm not fully sure about The Last of Us. I'm pretty sure that it might have done well in Japan, and I have no idea about Resistance, not the slightest idea of Resistance in Japan, so I'm sorry.
Game, I can tell you that. So at least we have a great game that starts a great series.
Which only survived 4 games until Naughty Dog abandoned them. Hey, just like Crash Bandicoot. How funny.
Anyway, back to Crash Bandicoot the Wife of Cortex.
Yeah, Crash...
What is that? Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Crash Bandicoot the Wife of Cortex. Yeah, I love saying, yeah, WAF just sounds great for some reason. It just sounds so weird and stupid.
The intro cutscene because it's like 6 or 7 minutes long. But what happened?
Who cares about the cutscenes?
Oh.
Yeah, I spent a long time talking about the story and the controls, so let's just skip ahead.
Anyway, what's this game?
Like.
Oh, I skipped too far because he skipped it.
Well, there's no, like, other power-ups. Well, the top was pretty important to, like, don't get killed by these nitro crates. And no real Crash game for PS4. Only cameo. Yeah. Okay, see.
By cameo, he means in the PlayStation 4 ads and trailers. Yeah. Still no Crash game on PS4. I'm so sad. I don't want. I'm not too up to a PS4 yet. But Crash Bandicoot will change everything. Please, Crash, go onto the PS4, please, and make sure it's not a Crash of the Titans game, because I will not buy that. Make it an old school Crash game completely, and then I'll buy it. Or I'll try and buy it.
Okay, let's just skip that beta stuff.
You get out the bazooka by pressing L1 and then the slide button.
Alright.
There's practically nothing new except for some new mechs.
Okay, that is a problem with Wrath Cortex. It doesn't do anything new other than let you play as Coco fully, well, not in vehicles, but on foot. By that, and that's what I mean by that. And there are new vehicles to go into in general, and there are new levels, but that's it. That's practically it. Now, I don't really have a problem with games which don't have any innovation, but it's still worth mentioning that there's nothing new. I don't find it a problem, but it is a problem with the game. It doesn't bother me, but it will bother some people, plus it is a major flaw with the actual game, so yeah.
And new level designs.
Whoa. A lot better than Crash.
Time trials return.
Oh, wait.
And they're just as fun as they were in
Crash 3.
Crash 3.
Thank you.
And this game is very underrated.
Crash 3. When I said Crash 3, I prefer to Crash Bandicoot 1.
Yeah, I think most people would have worked that out, but I actually thought that they wouldn't, so I put that annotation while wow, I must have been dumb.
I received mixed opinions when it first came out. Some people
It still has mixed opinions today.
like it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
Well, I was
How about Stipulate?
That was before I said, I wouldn't say hey, more like dislike. That was until I met Stimpy Man and found his review on the game, which he made after I made this review, so, you know, I didn't know back then. And now I know that people actually do hate Wrath Cortex. Back then, I thought the most they could go with dislike, but now it's gone from dislikes to hate with all their heart. with a flaming passion. And that's Stimpy Lamb for ya. Biggest Ralph Cortex hater ever.
Like. Now this game does have high difficulty, which is annoying. It's harder than Crash Bandicoot.
Now the game can be tough, but it's not the hardest Crash game. I can beat it 106%. I've done it twice, guys. Actually, I've done it 3 times from my knowledge. Twice on the PS2 and once on the GameCube. And all we need is once in the Japanese version and once in the Xbox version now.
And the game looks fantastic.
Not as hard as Crash 2. Not as hard as Crash 1.
Now, the graphics for Wrath Cortex are also mixed. Some people think the game looks good, such as me and Geek Gamer 7. However, some people think the game looks bad, such as Stimpy Land. Personally, as you should know, I think the game looks good. While it's not the most colourful game ever, it still has some nice textures which don't look bad, and while the game doesn't look perfect, it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, it's not terrible to look at. I can look at it just fine and think, this doesn't look bad. Yeah, I think the game looks good, but hey, that's just my opinion. Everyone has different opinions, especially Stimpy Land.
This is on play PS2.
I'll get into the music later.
I'm not on brain. I'm smarter than you.
Because that's something I'm not really a fan of.
Was I saying that I was smarter than the audience? I just want to kill myself if I actually said that, but he might just be saying that. I don't know.
Like it or hate it. Just screw it, haters.
I mean, seriously.
What are your opinions on this game, MikeyAngryBird? If you have played it, do you like it or do you dislike it? And if you haven't played it, do not give me your opinions on the game. Just don't. Because I don't want to hear them unless you've actually played the game. And if you haven't, don't give your opinions to me because they are invalid.
I'll explain more.
Yeah, it's pretty different. Aku is like pretty gold. But wasn't that a lot like Ultra Carter, like orange and red or something, yellow? Was that just golden?
Reaction.
Okay.
Like a beta version of Crash 1.
But this game is very fun.
Yeah.
And I don't really see why people...
Aku definitely looks better in Wrath Cortex than the old PS1 Crash games. And overall, Crash Bandicoot Wrath Cortex does look better than the old Crash games, in my opinion. The GameCube version looks the worst, but the PS2 version and the Xbox version, they look just fine. The GameCube version looks worse, but hey, it's terrible. Let's just say that. Who the beepers in the shower? I thought everyone was watching 24. Oh, never mind. I'm just talking about stuff that my family's doing.
Now, you already did a Let's Play on Crash for...
Guess what?
Yeah, I did a Let's Play of Crash Bandicoot Wrath Cortex, which, to my knowledge, is the only Let's Play which he actually sat down and watched. He didn't give me any feedback on the Crash Bandicoot, on the Spider-Man Let's Play, or the Spider-Man for the Key Bottom Let's Play, except on the Q&A part. And I know that he watched Sonic Heroes Let's Fail, as I'm going to call it, since it failed. And he liked and favorited it. That's all I know. That is everything I know.
We had to scrap the Let's Play, yeah.
Now, I'd actually like it if you made a reaction video on a part one of my Let's Plays. Like, if I made a future part, I would like it if you made a reaction to it. That'll be interesting. But, hey, I'd rather you just stick to reviews. So, yeah. And random trailers, but I prefer the ones that you do on me. Anyway, let's just carry on.
This might be a little bit slower. Well, it might be good though. Rhinos!
Yeah, and remember, in the GameCube version of Wrath Cortex, we all need to remember that the baby rhinos were blue. Now, they're not blue on the back of the box, but trust me, they are in the real game. Well, only in the GameCube version, in the PS2 and Xbox versions, they're not. I don't own the Xbox version, but I want to own it if I ever get my hands on the original Xbox. Or an Xbox Zero.
Helicopter pack.
What?
A submarine.
Now here's the problem with my old reviews. I didn't actually show you the things I was talking about. I was just talking about them over you because, you know, those reviews sucked.
A neck.
As in, you know, a robot thing. Oh, red snail? He's not even red, but whatever. I didn't know you were in there because, you know, this video has been sent as a Redbird. This should have just been Redbird reacts to Big Bang Bot's Crash Bandicoot 4 review. Because those guys, this is the first time we see him other than, like, the intro from wherever, unless he's there in some of the parts I skipped.
Robotic armor.
Can he be rolling a ball?
And there are planes!
All the mechs.
Pots of ball. This looks like something from the SNES game. I don't know what that called.
Then I don't know what game you're talking about, then! The rolling ball sections look more like Super Monkey Ball than like that SNES game. Well, kind of a mix between a much upgraded version of Marble Madness, which came out on multiple systems, and Super Monkey Ball. Yeah, that's just my opinion, but hey, whatever. And I don't know what SNES game he's talking about. He could be talking about Marble Madness. I don't know if that got an SNES port, but it might have. I might have just forgotten. I know it got an NES port, a Master System port, 2 Mega Drive ports, and it was originally an arcade game, but I'm just talking a bit too much about Marble Madness. So let's just carry on. Plus, the game looks a billion times better than the SNES game. Not that any SNES games look bad, they look so colourful and it just looks great, but when it comes to graphic-wise, if you compare this game to Star Fox, as in the original one on the SNES, or Starwing as it's called in my country, what do you think looks better? If you've never seen Star Fox, you can go look up a video on the first game, and then you can judge for yourself what looks better. If you look at it, the Crash Bandicoot, you will find out the obvious winner, Wrath of Cortex. I know that Star Fox looks amazing for its time, but if you compare it to Wrath of Cortex, which you shouldn't, because that would be unfair, the winner's obvious. It's just plain obvious. And Wrath of Cortex does look better than Star Fox 64 as well, so shush.
Yeah, ball. It's a ball. It's like a beach ball, but with square. It's like something.
Looks like a colourful hamster ball, especially in the Xbox and GameCube versions. They're really colourful in those versions. It's most colourful in the GameCube version, and it's least colourful in the PS2 version, which means that the Xbox version is right in the middle.
Basically, all the new things going is that they control stiffly, and the ones
Yeah, the rolling ball does not control perfectly at all. It is flawed.
are the rolling balls.
Yeah.
And the tank. No, not the tank. There's no tank in this game. The submarine. That controls awfully as well. I used to kind of like it a bit, but now it sucks. I enjoy shooting things in there, but it controls horribly.
These balls move awkwardly.
Every vehicle in this game sucks. With the exception of, like, the snowboards. Those are okay. And the flying ones, except for the one with the homing missiles, those aren't too bad either. The one with the homing missiles can be annoying, especially if it's your first time playing. And that one's less enjoyable because of how it controls, but hey, I can live with things.
Seriously.
Ball. It's not ball.
Plus,
Ball.
because of the awkward control, it's really hard.
He likes to say weird.
Oh yeah, Crash Bandicoot can fly. A walking Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot can't fly. Except for if he's in a plane.
Who can fly with a ball.
He wasn't flying, he was just using gravity to make himself go really fast and then jump really high and then eventually drop like a brick, sort of.
Seriously, it's
Ball.
so so hard just to get a gold
He likes the word ball because I don't know.
relic in this level. I haven't gotten a gold relic
You're
yet.
the best. You like Bandicoot.
I think I got a gold relic in my Wrath Cortex Let's Play. I think I did. Well, it might have been in my 100% Let's Play. Well, no, not my 100% Let's Play, but my playthrough on the PS2 version 106%. Maybe. I think I might have got gold relic on it now, but back then, nope.
Zoom, I like to be fast as turbo.
Good thing that there's no 107% in this game, unlike in Crash 3, even though in Crash 3 it was 105%, but whatever.
Yeah, fast. Crash Bandicoot fast. Alright, and
These
then...
rolling ball stages can be frustrating and hard to complete.
Yeah, the rolling ball sections are really annoying. I especially hate the time trial for Medieval Madness, but I somehow didn't take too long in my Let's Play, which was weird.
Oh no! Oh my god! Green acid killed Crash? God,
I don't think it was green acid, I think it was trees.
come with that. These animals don't like this. Animals get killed by green acid?
And I
Don't
died.
like it.
It's not green acid, silly. That might just be him looking at the graphics and thinking that. But I don't even think Stimpyland thinks that the graphics are that awful. Okay, maybe he does, but pretty sure he doesn't think that that looks like green acid, as in the trees.
Okay, now, we're not blind, idiot.
I mean, seriously.
Okay.
There are a lot of flaws about this game. And
Yeah.
I will tell you them all right now.
Now, when I made this review, I think it was very recently where I saw Geek Gamer 7's review, and I was just being mean to the game. I was just being mean to it. Yes, the game does have its downsides, but I was still think I was being mean to it. Stimpyland, he wasn't even being mean. He was being Satan to the game. If I can even say that.
My first problem with this game, and trust me, there is a lot,
Yeah,
is that the game has load times that take ages!
Luckily, I was playing the Platinum version back then, which only has 20-second load times, whereas the original Black Disc has 40-second load times, which is long, but nowadays I can wait for loading, but it's still annoying. Especially if playing the Black Disc, or Black Label, sorry, PS2 version. Now, in the Xbox and GameCube version, the load times are... the load times are faster, but in the GameCube version, it depends. It's like... it goes from like 7 seconds to 20 seconds in the GameCube version. And for the Xbox version, I really don't know if the load times are consistent or not. They're not in the GameCube version, but they are in the PS2 version, depending on which version you're playing.
I mean, seriously! This is how long the load times in this game are.
Much fat, slow. This is not edited, idiot.
20 seconds of load.
But not as stupid as Sonic 06 has longer loading screens. Don't play Sonic the Hedgehog for the GBA. Just play a great Sonic game on the Genesis.
I say play Sonic Generations or Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Those are the best. And at least it's better than the original Black Label PS2 version, with 40-second load times. It's better than the Lego Movie video game on PS3, which, from my experiences, went from around 40 seconds to a minute. When that was extremely long. And Spyro to the Dragonfly, that was a really long load times. I remember that I literally went on the internet when I was younger, while I was waiting for the load times. Well, I wasn't that much younger, but hey, I was still younger.
That's just appalling!
But hey, there are still games with worse load times than Wrath or Cortex. I mean, just take a game like a very old PC, as in an old British PC or something like that. I mean, I've heard that Street Fighter 2 on the ZX Spectrum, or ZX Spectrum, if you want to say Americanly, has 20-minute long load times. Wow. You do realise that is 100 times longer than that. Okay, not 100 times, I calculated that wrong, but that is like... So, Street Fighter 2 on the ZX version, from what I've heard, has 20-minute load times. According to my calculations... Okay, 1 minute, 60 seconds, times that by 10. Well, that's 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. That Street Fighter 2 on the ZX version roughly has around 1,200 seconds. Wow! That's awful. That is horrendous. And that's like 60 times longer than the Platinum version of Wrath of Cortex. 60! And it's 40 if you're using the original Black Label PS2 version. But this is only from what I've heard on the internet. I've not experienced it myself, but I hate it if it was actually 20 minutes in that game. And I'm not going to play it, so shut up. Maybe one day, far in the future, but I'm not really interested in old PCs, so... yeah.
Really that much new compared...
Yeah, you use a bazooka. Maybe it's actually pretty broken.
That doesn't really bother me, but it's still an issue.
But it's okay.
In fact, it's almost the same game.
Just with different levels.
With new levels.
This is not as bad as Enter the Dragonfly.
Especially for the...
Have you actually played Spyro the Dragonfly? I'm just interested. Now, I can safely say that even though I do kind of like Spyro the Dragonfly, finding it a guilty pleasure, I will admit that it is worse than Wrath of Cortex, no matter what you say. I don't know if Stimpyland finds it worse than Wrath of Cortex or not, but I don't care what anyone says. Spyro the Dragonfly is worse than Wrath of Cortex. Even though I kind of like it.
Enter the Dragonfly is okay, guys. I hate it, but it's okay. You think this game is bad?
There's a level design good, but very frustrating.
What is the worst Crash game ever? Maybe Crash Boom Bang?
The first Crash came out in 1996. Yeah, the Japanese version came out December of 1996, and the European version came out November of 1996, or it might have been October, but I'm pretty sure it's November. And the US version came out on August 31st, 1996. Crash Bandicoot was the second, from my knowledge, was the second 3D platformer ever made. At least outside of Japan. In Japan, it was... Wait, at least in Japan. Outside of Japan, it was actually the first. And if you compare all of the release dates, it was the second. The first one was Mario 64. First released on June 23rd, 1996 in Japan. But everywhere else it came out after Crash Bandicoot. But in Japan, Crash Bandicoot came out after Super Mario 64, and even Crash Bandicoot's first American release came out after Mario 64 did in Japan, so yeah.
Like, what can I say it?
Seriously.
No, that's the fireball is part Crash! Doesn't mean it something like it!
Don't worry, this game doesn't have that many death animations, especially compared to, like, Crash Bandicoot 3, which I've got to admit does actually kind of suck, which Stimpyland mentioned in his review. As in his original review, I don't know if he did said it in his re-review, because I don't really remember that much about his re-review, but still.
Man, you don't have some funny reactions because you don't like kids.
Hey, Unikitty, you're back! Yay! I forgot, unless I read the title, I actually kind of forgot you were in this.
Animals.
Why unfair?
Well,
No, really, I kind of forgot she was in there. I wasn't reading the title, so I just forgot she existed until now. Okay.
Another problem I have with this
the Monkey Bandicoot get killed several times than the limbless guy with no arms and legs. Thank you.
is that the
In Crash 2, that death animation where Crash was left with his head and feet was removed in the Japanese version because of a serial killer who did that. yeah, that was nice. That was a nice simple analogy, analogy.
The routes that you have to take are so hard. I mean, this was true in the old game, but it's a problem here.
Actually, the death routes in Crash 2 and 3 were harder than they were in Ramp Cortex. That was back when I was worse at the game. So, yeah. The most annoying one is, like, the Coco ones. Even though they're gem routes, but whatever. But the main problem I have with the gem routes and the death routes, and typically I mentioned this in both his first review and his re-review. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe he didn't say it in his first review, but he definitely said in his review that they do not have extra, like, new music, which is faster and more upbeat, which does suck. Plus, in the final level, all you need is the green gem to get the final gem. Which you find in level 4, by the way. That is pathetic. In Crash 2 and 3, you needed every single gem in order to get that final gem in the final level. Okay, in Crash 3, you didn't need the green gem because you could jump far enough to get to the platform over that, but you needed every other gem, which was cool that you needed every gem, which made it worth collecting all the gems other than just completion. But in this level, all it gives you is a difficult route and a green gem to go there. That is just dumb. And I mean dumb. Okay, I'll see you in a second. I've returned from the dead and I'm back to watch the rest. And hopefully I'll get this done before the 2 hour mark. Because that means I'll have to put it into 2 parts if that happens.
Thank you.
Is that the secret routes that you have to take are so hard.
Yeah, we've already seen these bits.
I mean, this was true in the old game, but it's a problem here, mainly because...
Yeah, you say, oh no! No! This is a failure! This level is too hard!
It's good, but it's hard to memorize. Let's just say that.
The game's not that hard. It can be tough, yes, but the game gives you tons of extra lives, which does make it easier. If you've seen Teal Game Master Let's Play, you should know that he has a fairly equal balance between his lives and his deaths. Which means that while he dies a lot, he collects a lot of lives, so that means he'll never go game over.
Oh, thank you, Marble. Yay. Jump.
Plus, like the first game felt a bit
no.
hard.
Yes, come on, don't die. Don't die.
Did I say that the first game felt a bit too hard? Why am I mentioning this in this review? The problem with my older reviews, even these ones, is that I talk about irrelevant things in the review. That is just a horrid sin in all of my reviews before my good ones. As in my bad reviews from Season 1 and 2, as I like to say.
Don't die. Oh yeah, you're survived. Yeah.
Now, I could explain more about the difficulty, but let's just say it's very frustrating to get 100%.
Yeah, it can be hard to get 106%, but hey, I've done it 3 times in my life, so yeah.
Now let's talk about another thing that disappointed me. The music.
Which, now that I think back, I was definitely being far too harsh. And this was from someone who's just playing the game randomly. He's, after ages from beating the game 106%.
Music.
The music is another problem I have with this game.
Actually, the game has great music and you should definitely listen to it. It may not sound the same as the old games, but it's still great what they have in this game.
Music is awesome, like Crash 3.
Yeah, the music is awesome, but back then I was an idiot and said that it wasn't that good, mainly because I haven't played it in ages, so I didn't remember most of the songs.
Some of the songs in this game are awesome. Like,
yeah, there are some great songs in this game, and I mean some great songs.
the one you're hearing now, but
most of the soundtrack is very, very, very good and interesting. Even if it can be a bit weirded out to play sometimes. Like Avalanche. I mean, when you're actually going down the hill when the avalanche comes, the music that plays fits before that bit, but when you actually get to that bit, it just doesn't fit. That is when the Medieval Madness music fits. The Medieval Madness music fits into any awesome situation or epic situation. I'm not going to do a montage of it now, but if I ever get around to reviewing this game, I will do that montage.
Just forgettable.
Maybe it's forgotten. This game was forgotten.
Or kind of a montage-ish thing, but whatever.
Yeah. Some people forgot to
Seriously.
from a holy grail.
I can barely remember most of the soundtrack.
Actually, I can remember a few songs. I can remember the song in Arctic Antics, and the song in the second level, and I can remember the song in Bamboozled. I can remember a lot of the soundtrack. Medieval Madness is still the song that sticks out in my head the most, with how amazing it is. Well, except in the GameCube and Xbox version, where it's just the music for the Gauntlet, which is still a really good song, but it just doesn't fit with Medieval Madness, plus it's a lot worse than Medieval Madness music. But the Gauntlet still has great music, even if it's worse than Medieval Madness, and that it doesn't fit in Medieval Madness.
This is the song that sticks out in my head the most.
That is actually something I still agree with.
Out of this entire game. That's saying a lot, because
Actually, it's not saying a lot, because while it is the best song in the game by miles, the rest of the soundtrack is still really good, even if there are a few weird songs.
But the music is so awesome, Bug. Why you hate it?
Because I was an idiot back then. I love it now, but I didn't like it back then, because, you know, I was an idiot. Although, if you do watch my Let's Play, you'll know that, you should hopefully know that I like the music now.
the old games had great
You're not stupid, man. Oh wait, do you know that the same man who made the soundtrack in the old Crash Bandicoot games was the same man who made the theme song for the club? Look at the big red dog. Wait.
Well, that's what I heard from Cat Icarus.
Wait. Yeah, we have a big red dog.
Because the old games had great music.
And so does this game. But, you know, I was kind of stupid back then, and I just watched Geek Game 7's review, which made me be a bit meaner to the game, for some reason. And somehow I was not meaner to the game after watching Stimpyland's review. In fact, I might have been kind of nicer now that I think about it. I don't know.
The theme song for the big red dog, that's a weird condition. Are you okay? Oh my gosh, my shell is missing.
Are just lame.
Oh yeah, Red Snail was here. Wait, is he even meant to be called Red Snail? Because he doesn't even look red. Maybe that's just me being snailist / racist, but I'm just mentioning it.
Boring and forgettable.
Not all the songs are forgettable. There are some songs that I still remember, and there are some songs which aren't stuck in my head, but hey, whatever, the game still has a great soundtrack.
Big red dog.
Pointing.
Yeah, this is so stupid. The soundtrack is awesome, but stupid at the same
Stand
time.
now. Like this one.
Now, what I should have done was actually let you listen to a song which I thought summed up what I thought of the entire soundtrack back then. I should have done that, but I didn't because I was a big fat idiot. Okay, I wasn't fat, but I was an idiot.
I wish all of the music was as good as this.
Don't worry, the whole soundtrack in this game is great, and it's fine just the way it is, and I regret wishing that.
Well, if you want a great Crash game, why not play Twin Sanity? Since Stimpyland hates this game. Yeah, I was not confused for that Stimpyland joke.
I'm just fine playing the old Crash games. I do like the PS2 Crash games, I do. But hey, Best Crash games are Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped and Crash Team Racing. Those are the Crash games you need. Although I do like the PS2 Crash games. Twin Sanity, I haven't really played it in ages, but hey, I might replay it and see how my opinions have held up.
But still...
Oh, that cat eat this.
Life isn't all...
Oh my god, is that time? Oh my god, is that time? Yeah, that's time.
It's like Travis Tales didn't know how to make decent music.
Yeah, I was an idiot, saying that Travis Tales didn't know how to make decent music. That was stupid.
But games like this, I mean, seriously. I know that they've done decent pieces of music before.
Yes, a lot of Travis Tales games do have pretty good music.
Okay, oh no, not the Nitros!
Mickey Mania for Mega Drive sounds awesome.
Now, both Mickey Mania and Wrath Cortex have a great soundtrack that you should definitely listen to. Well, at least on the Mega Drive version of Mickey Mania, or Genesis if you live in America. The SNES and the Mega CD/PlayStation soundtracks aren't as good, but the Mega Drive soundtrack / Genesis rules! And so does the soundtrack for this game.
Game Mickey Mania is awesome! Childhood is a success!
I've never played Mickey Mania on the Mega Drive. I've played the PS1 port called Mickey's Wild Adventure, but I haven't played Mickey Mania. Mickey's Wild Adventure is decent, but I've heard that Mickey Mania on the Mega Drive is great, which means if I get my hands on one, I will play Mickey Mania and see if it's good or not, or better than the PS1 version.
And they developed that game, but the music of this game is overall disappointing.
No, it's not. It's great. I was just an idiot. It's like I got possessed by Satan when I said that.
That's too fast. Oh my god.
I can
You are dead.
listen to the song all day if I wanted to. Now, let's move on to the bosses.
Yay, but first I must show your Coco level.
I forgot to mention that you can play as Coco. That's twice that I was about to move on to the bosses, but I forgot something.
Yep. I was an idiot.
Yeah.
Hello, Unikitty. I also forgot that you were in here. Plus, what? Oh, wait, never mind. I just thought I said Unkitty, but it does say Unikitty, so silly me.
Coco levels are pretty useless. I don't know. Maybe
The Coco levels aren't very good. Let's just say that. Crash's levels are a lot better. Or better. Sorry.
Useless, but they're pretty good. Pretty fun. You want to play as Coco in this game.
You
can
but
play
she's
whatever
very
you want.
similar to Crash.
What?
Very.
And has a awesome blonde hair.
Here are her controls. You press X to jump.
What? Okay, let's skip that control.
Yes. Good boy. Good boy.
Some of it's good, but it's unmemorable.
There it goes.
With that exception I said earlier.
Here, extra life. And
Actually, the music in Avalanche is very memorable just because of how weird and out of place it is. Well, at least for the Avalanche bit.
careful. Oh my god, TNT.
That's what you
Yeah,
said.
TNT. Oh my god, don't kill her. Penguins! Penguins! Penguins!
That was weird.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that your dad came into the room again, because that would have been interesting.
That's why penguins kill her. That's one of the greatest reactions I've ever.
Wait, Coco also has levels where she can ride on a snowboard.
Right on snowboard. Yeah, we delete that Super Smash Brothers mainly. I find it's a pretty bad one, but it's pretty mediocre. I just remove it because finding jobs is good.
He's talking a lot about some irrelevant stuff about Super Smash Bros. Melee, but hey, Coco's vehicle, she has a scooter, okay, and a snowboard, which is probably the best vehicle in the game, and a spaceship, okay, and yeah. That's the same amount that she had in Crash 3. I really did enjoy Paris levels, and I missed them. The jet ski levels, I'm not really concerned that they're gone. But still, Coco's vehicles aren't that good. The snowboard is the best vehicle in the game, and that's saying something because it's not really an amazing vehicle. And the scooter is very similar, but you don't really get as much time with it, so yeah, you can't judge it as much.
Thank you, God. But you can get to play a SpongeBob as her. Yeah, play the SpongeBob level. That's awesome. SpongeBob!
The SpongeBob level? What are you talking about? I've played Wrath of Cortex 3 times 106%, and I do not remember a SpongeBob level. Silly weirdo. Bird thing.
Yeah, that's pretty loud when I have, like, awesome reactions ever. It's quiet.
Yay,
skateboard, whatever.
but don't worry, because we do have snowboarding, just like I said.
Okay, oh no!
And we also have a scooter and a spaceship.
And it's annoying traveling
Don't get me
on
mad.
ice.
I don't want to get mad.
No matter what game it is, ice physics suck. Bananas. Unless there is no ice physics, then it's fine.
And like in every game ever, it's called the laws of physics. You skip science class, then you face palm, double face palm.
Luckily for you, I won't facepalm that. Actually, yes, I am going to facepalm at that. That was just stupid. And I'm sorry for contradicting myself, but whatever.
Now we get to the snowboarding part.
Yay, SSX. Maybe we should put
Unfortunately, it's not SSX. Not in the slightest.
tricky. Okay, YouTube. It's tricky.
That's not really going to help.
It's tricky. It's tricky. And then let's. Oh no! Phew! Let's just calm down. And then let's listen this. Oh no! Not the commercial! Not the commercial!
Yeah, YouTube ads are terrible. I hate them. And I hate it even more when you can't skip them. That is so annoying.
Okay, let me wait until it's done.
Okay, we're snowboarding down this mountain.
It says commercial done. I want commercial blocker. Yeah, in YouTube. And here it goes. Let's listen to this awesome music. Here you go.
I get beat up.
It's tricky, water, rocket, bitches, buttons, it's chicken.
As cool as the song is, I'd rather you not sing it, and I find it even more out of place than, you know, the Avalanche music. Well, maybe not more out of place, just still find it out of place for some reason. It's just weird. To me, it only fits in SSX. It just doesn't belong in Crash Bandicoot. Let's just say that.
It turns out that the bosses are also disappointment.
I should have said the bosses are also a disappointment, or the bosses are also disappointing, but instead I said the bosses are disappointment. Or the bosses are also disappointment. That is just terrible English.
Why?
Okay.
Because
He doesn't skip them, but hey, at the very least I can remember how awful the scenes could have been.
Disappointment. Yeah, that was Crash though.
and I mean every single boss fight, you want crunch. This is the first one, and you are fighting him in a ball.
Yeah,
And
get
trust
burned in
me,
ashes. Like
all
Crash
mechanics
Fireball.
are slippery.
Balls.
Yeah, you're slithering around. Not to be confused with Slytherin from Harry Potter. I wonder if it sounded like that to anyone. I wonder.
And this boss is gimmicky.
It makes the ball controls even worse than we.
It's so hard.
Oh gosh, that's the TV glitchy. It's a glitchy TV. It's a glitchy TV.
It's not the TV's fault. It was actually the connection between my old PS2 and my old connecting cable and my TV. It was annoying. Now there's not really any problems because I've changed everything, but hey, whatever.
Alright, now you. Finally, you can kill him.
You have to hit all the balls
Yeah,
to attack Crunch.
Yeah.
I bet he likes the word balls. I just bet he does. And bam.
Yes, he's a loser. But he's gonna make it him more often. Crash Nitro cards and also okay games like Crash and Titans and Mind Over Mutants. Well, I don't hate the new design except for like Tiny the Tiger and Aku Aku and Crash design. But the game.
When it comes to new Crash designs, the only ones I really don't like are Uka Ruka, Aku Aku, and Tiny. Tiny and Uka Uka are the worst, but all the others, maybe except for Aku Aku, I can live with.
Does Crunch travel in a beehive?
A beehive?
Are you going to make a terrible joke about that?
Why is this boss so gimmicky and
Bees,
annoying?
like the Wicker Man? Like the bee from the Wicker, that bee's bee moment from the Wicker Man? When that Nicolas Cage character said, "No, not this beehive! Oh my eyes! Oh my eyes!"
Yeah, I knew there'd be a terrible joke there somewhere. And I actually wasn't expecting that, because, you know, I forgot that joke even existed, or that reference to that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet here. Alright, now...
This is a disappointing fight, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Just like Stimpyland's opinion on this game. Actually, his opinion, he thinks that the game sucks, and I think his opinion is just fine. But it's completely different to mine, so I guess it kind of sucks, even though I can see where he's coming from, so yeah.
Sluggish.
Seriously.
Don't call him... I will not call me a stipulant if I hate this game, but it's a great game. But awesome. Awesome soundtrack.
I was
great
expecting to
graphics.
fight Crunch, but not until near the end of the game.
I wonder if he's played this game. He might have, I don't know. But I still want to see your video game collection, MikeyAngryBird, or as you'd call it, your video game haul.
I was expecting to fight elemental masks,
Okay, that's it.
but I was expecting them to help
Come on. No! No!
the main bosses from the old game.
I hate this
Not
boss.
help
This game,
Crunch,
this
but
rule,
every
this boss
single
is
fight.
I always get to shove it in my bum.
Yeah, up your bum bum. Everyone likes bum bums.
Yeah, just like Caddy
The
said.
controls in this.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah, and I love the face when he has when he shoves things up his bum, or like that thing he said in Crash 1 where he said, shoving things up my bum, and then he shows you a weird face. It's just hilarious. If you want to see it, I'll show it to you. Okay. I'll be there in a bit. There it is! It's just the best face ever. I just love it so much. Let's just carry on.
Don't get burned. Yeah, no, stop.
Okay, maybe not the best face ever, but one of the best faces ever. Because Cataclysm has made quite a few good faces. They are just amazing.
Oh, stop.
You want to actually
Yes.
hit the balls.
Yay.
This is a terrible boss fight, and it's very disappointing. And just
Yeah, we
like
finally
Crash
defeated him.
Bandicoot Crash Bandicoot Warped. Once you beat a boss,
Okay, another
you
loading
get a new
screen.
power. I'm pretty sure you get the tiptoe ability once you beat this boss.
Tiptoe.
Yes, you do.
Tiptoe.
And the second
That wasn't even funny. Was that meant to be funny? Because it wasn't.
boss
Alright, that's a great lightning effect. Oh no, why you kill him? Animal abuse. You killed that. Oh wait.
as well.
Oh, you stupid.
Once you figure out his pattern,
That's a water man.
he's not as hard as he was the first time you fought him.
Now this boss is one of those weird ones. When it's your first time fighting him, he is so beeping frustrating. You will literally spend forever trying to kill him. But once you know what you're doing, he's pathetically easy. Or once you know his pattern.
Annoying, I can tell you that.
Jump, bam!
You have to double jump hard to beat him.
Bosses are pretty disappointing, but the game itself is awesome.
Yeah, Ralph Cortex is great, and you find it for a decent price. I recommend you go buy it.
Bam! And you finally...
But you all die.
This boss is way too...
As gimmicky as the first boss, and at least it didn't take so long to beat him like the first boss.
Unless it's your first time playing, where you die a billion times.
Easy.
The third boss is...
This boss is pretty awesome. Well, because it's like Donald Duck.
Yeah, the third boss is pretty cool. Some people don't like him, but I like him. The fight may be generic, but it's really cool. And the music definitely helps.
Cool,
Quack attack.
but very
Because
frustrating.
this game is made by Ubisoft.
What? The game wasn't made by Ubisoft. What made you say that?
Body slam, you find it
Quack attack.
in...
Quack Attack? You mean that old Mega Drive game starring Donald Duck? Oh, I don't know.
Has its way in level A.
And burn the heck out this guy, and it's become cold.
This boss is cool.
Oh gosh, oh my god, you killed that
But
mech.
seriously, it's an improvement
Not
over the
you,
previous
but
bosses.
this mech, it's too small.
It's a disappointment that he's hard.
He can be quite annoying. He does get cheap shots on you, and that does suck. But he is still a good boss. At least he's the fair type. No, he's not exactly fair, but at the very least, he doesn't require as much memorization as the second boss.
Real
This
hard.
mech.
Although, if it's your first time playing, he can be really hard.
This boss is pretty awesome than the other two. Well, the water one is way too easy. Let's see.
The water one's only easy if you know exactly what you're doing and the pattern. If you don't know, then he is really hard.
He gets more annoying the more times you hit him.
Oh, you killed
Especially
him.
on the second time, because he poops fireballs.
Poops fireballs.
I wish I was right so I could throw a Hadouken in his face.
Or, since he poops out the fireballs, up his bum! I'm a genius.
Alright,
That's how hard this boss.
let's just skip to the middle. There you go. This music is a lot kick
The most annoying thing
so
he
much.
does is
So you gonna say it? Because I'm just gonna silence it for a bit.
It kicks some
well, poops his fireballs.
poops. My God, is this for kids? Is this a kids game or not?
Yes, it is a kid's game. After all, it is rated 3+ in Europe, and it's rated E for everyone in America.
But kids always play this.
In fact, in America, Crash games weren't rated E10 until Crash Tag Team Racing, which was the first Crash game rated over E.
Game.
And it might have been the same with the PEGI rating system, where slash Elspeth, where Crash Team Racing was the first one rated 7. But hey, whatever. Or above 3. Whatever.
Oh my God, that scary voice. This didn't.
Now he throws two at once.
Sometimes when he throws the fireballs, they split in half, and it is really annoying.
Go get him, Crash.
Now you have to
Kill him.
really
Kill him on fire. Or freeze him. Use Elsa power or something else. Or
I wish that Crash was Elsa, but he is not, so he cannot just freeze the monster.
mech power. You kidding?
just contains pure luck. Oh, this boss is cool. He's a decent boss.
And
Apart from
yay! You're finally getting him. You're finally
after you beat
saving
him,
this round.
you get the tornado spin.
Yay! Tornado spin.
Well,
Let's do this.
at least he was better than the previous two bosses, but he was really hard. The fourth boss is it.
Now let's do awesome Donkey Kong. Let's see on YouTube.
Now he wants to play Donkey Kong music forever for whatever reason.
Okay, Donkey Kong music. Bash. Punch ball. Then let's put on some awesome music.
Because you can.
Yeah, do a barrel. You paid for that.
Actually, I'd rather not have this. Oh wait, there's something in my messages, and what is it? Just this weird thing which has nothing to do with me. But excuse me while I try and find the Medieval Madness music for y'all, because you know it's a much better song. By the way, MikeyAngryBird, you don't have to show us the screen. I know that's not how you do make reaction videos, but if you're going to show us screenshots, that is one time when you have to show us the screen. You just have to. Now, what's Medieval Madness? It's somewhere in my favourites. I have no idea where. It must be down here somewhere. Ah, there it is. Time for some epic music in the background. Which is better than that, which I'd rather have than the Donkey Kong music. And by the way, MikeyAngryBird, I did not dislike this video. That was not me. I just remembered that I should probably turn this up. Silly me, so if it's been a bit quiet, I apologise. Ah, it's stuck. Looks like he's just gonna rock out to the Donkey Kong music for a few more seconds. I'm just gonna listen to the Medieval Madness music while I wait. Okay, he stopped, so I'm gonna stop. Okay, never mind. Now this is where I'm actually going to skip this entire section because, you know, I'm not waiting any longer.
Now let's put on the awesome, put on the Eye of the Tiger music on YouTube.
Eye of the Tiger music. He just doesn't care about the video anymore. He just wants to listen to music because of how bad the review was.
The Eye of the Tiger.
Or how bad the review is, I don't know.
Turbo sound check. Whoops. We put on Eye of the Tiger. And let's pump it.
Once he's tired, shoot him, and then he'll
kill Cortex. Down.
Punch Cortex to you with an uppercut, and then
battle to face off him.
Fine.
Looks like we're going to have to put Medieval Madness back on. Yeah, of course he has to say BAM!
Oh god, it's Hellstorm Fire! Oh god, meteor attack.
No, this is probably where I'm going to skip to the end of the review because, you know, he's not really saying anything anymore.
That's a bad ending.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell everyone that. Although you can if you want.
That's a bad ending.
Thank you for repeating yourself. I appreciate it. I wish.
That's a cliffhanger. But the cliffhanger is 2070 thing. They got us.
The cliffhanger does not happen at all. And he is just getting his facts wrong. When you beat Wrath Cortex 106%, you get an ending where Cortex and Crunch get chucked onto a deserted island, which is very cold, forever. Until Crash to Insanity, where they are freed. But, you know, he's just being a bit odd now.
Cortex and Uga got frozen for no reason. And now...
I'm not going to make the dad joke, I promise. I'm not going to make a Frozen joke. Oh, come on. Ah.
Oh, here's the...
if you get the good ending, Cortex
And that music also appears in Solar Bowler.
and Uku.
Or Solar Bowler. Or Solar Bowler. I don't beeping know how it's supposed to, how the title's supposed to work. But whatever.
Get frozen on this
Maybe the cliffhanger.
island.
Well, it wasn't a
In the
cliffhanger,
North Pole.
like Spiral Shadow Legacy.
And you will see a brief showing of that in...
You know it. Crash to Insanity.
You don't see them get stuck on the island, you just see them frozen. Oh my god! Leave me alone, Frozen! Just leave me alone. For now. Please. Per favore.
Oh, studios.
Crash Twin Sanity for the PlayStation 2.
Please review
And
this game.
And Xbox. As in the Xbox Zero. Not the 360 or the One.
Rayman 3. Or review, like... Let me see.
So, that was Crash Bandicoot the Wrath of
Maybe it's called it the
Cortex.
summer.
The good things were...
The summer
that
of...
it did have good gameplay, the graphics were great for its time.
Even though some people will say otherwise.
And overall, it was just fun. The downsides were that the Coco stages wasn't very fun.
You mean, I meant the Coco stages weren't very fun, not wasn't. I needed to make sure that my tenses were correct, but I didn't, because, you know, I was an idiot.
The bosses were disappointing.
Now I can get my tenses a bit more correct, but back then I couldn't. Because I'm stupid. Or I was stupider.
It was too similar to Crash Bandicoot Warped.
Which, as you guys should know by now, doesn't bother me.
And the music wasn't very memorable, for the most part.
Actually, it was. Half of the music is memorable, but most of it's quite good.
Yeah.
There were some minecart levels, but that was the main game. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Sadly, Crash Bandicoot wasn't too pleased about this game.
And especially Stimpy Lad was horrified of this game.
Here's Crash Bandicoot push again.
This game wasn't as good as the previous games.
Luckily for you, I'm not Stimpy Lad, so that means I don't hate this game. I think it's like the worst game ever. But I still think that's supposed to crash free.
Traveler's Tales! You almost ruined my games.
No, they didn't. I think the people who kind of ruined Crash were Sierra, but hey, I don't hate Crash of the Titans at all. I just didn't like it that much. Just because I found it boring. Not because it was an insult to Crash. Just because I found it boring and not that fun.
Just a good thing that Crash Twin Sanity was a better game.
No.
I don't know what to say about that right now, but hey, I can always replay it.
Nitro cards and stuff.
I might make a Let's Play of it one day. But not yet.
Like, take place after events of Twin Sandy? I think.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Until next time. Play the good, but avoid the bad. And that's my new saying, by the way. Do you like it or not? Anyway, that's the end of the review. Goodbye.
So,
Hopefully he's going to go into full depth on his opinions on this review, or as in much depth as I would like.
this review is pretty good. Maybe because...
Pretty good. It sucked. I know it's your opinion, but I thought it sucked. I mean, there were loads of mistakes. I didn't show off everything I should have showed off. My opinions were rushed and dumb. I made a lot of mistakes. And my opinions were just kind of ruined by Geek Gamer 7 back then. Overall, the review sucked. It gets an E-. No, it's in the middle. Oh, yes, I'll give it an E-. It sucks. Well, I can, at the very least, call it a review, unlike my first few reviews, or like all of the reviews before this, which all get F-. They are just dreadful. Some might be lucky and get an F, but all the rest get F-. But I don't like any reviews that I made before, like Disney Golf. All of them suck. My Disney Golf review, I need to kind of rewatch that, but everything after that I thought was good enough for me, and not bad.
Since that this is not a Stimpy Land video, thank God he's not Stimpy Land. Thank goodness.
I guess he hates Stimpy Land and his review on this game. Now, I can actually see why Stimpy Land hates this game. No, really, I can. While I completely disagree with him, I can see where he's coming from. All of his complaints are reasonable, they are valid, they exist. But, again, I still disagree with him, mainly because I just found the game fun, and most of the complaints he had I didn't really care too much about. But, yeah, the game did have its shortcomings, and it wasn't perfect, but it was still really good. I can respect his opinion, and while I think he was being way too harsh on the game, everyone has their own opinion, and that's what he thinks. Although there are some people there are some trolls like Gligo13Vids and Mario 10 Plumber, which are just too stupid to accept their opinions.
Oh, bye. Yeah, I don't know if you kind of review like good games like Shrek 2 and Shrek the Third for the PS2, Crash Twin Sandy, and during this, and finally like Rayman 3. Please review these games. So bye. And now.
Well, I don't know if we'll get around to them, but if they're easy enough to review, I might review them. Rayman 3 is something I'm definitely not planning for yet. One day in the future, but not yet.
Now I can walk like this. That's a failure. Yeah, because this game is so rocks-like. Maybe it's okay, but Twin Sandy is better. So, bye-bye.
So that was his reaction video. While I did disagree with his opinions on the review, it was just his typical reaction video. I said it wasn't bad. In fact, I kind of liked it, so I'm going to click on the like button. Well, there are tons of things which I disagreed with in the reaction video, and he did kind of get, and there were some annoying parts, and I especially didn't really like the parts where he just jammed out to the music that he just randomly put up. But overall, it's a good reaction video. I kind of liked it. Just please do Super Mario 3D World sooner or later. And I would like it if you did Crash Team Racing, but so far on the top of my list is Super Mario 3D World for you to do a reaction video on. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. This is Big Bang Bots signing out.